Good morning. Hi, Sherry Humes, and I'm happy to be here once again. It's always a pleasure. So today, let's see, Frank will be here for us today. That's fantastic. And his talk title is Treasures as Channels of Universal Love. So it should be just a really heart-centered Sunday. Yeah, that's a good thing. We need that. And our music ministry, we have Kate and Cheryl this morning. Yeah.
Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way, heaven guide me, heaven show me the way, when I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way, when I'm reaching for you, will you meet me halfway? Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way, heaven guide me, heaven show me the way, when I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way, when I'm reaching for you, will you meet me halfway? Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way, heaven guide me, heaven show me the way.
Let us gather in prayer. I think of prayer as we begin to open up with heart receptive, inner eye open, which is the inner eye of the heart. And each of us connecting heart and mind to become a great river of hope, faith, and peace. Prayer is faith to affirm a continuation of desires that we feel and grow and experience. Prayer is for hope that something will come to ourselves or for others. Prayer is for peace, peace within, peace for others. With hope, faith, and peace, the common element to creation, it begins with a desire that grows within, and we express that desire in the quiet of our heart or with spoken word. Take a moment to ask for strength and hope, faith that is or equals. It is the size of a mustard seed. It just takes a little bit. And let us find peace that passes all understanding. So with hope, faith, and peace, keep in mind, in your heart and mind, those that you love and that you wish more for. And if you feel so, go ahead and say their name aloud. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen. We now move into meditation. This is a special time just for you to relax, refresh, and renew. Take a nice deep breath, nice slow deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel your shoulders drop. Repeat these 2 steps, breathing in, releasing, letting your shoulders drop. And as you breathe, You feel the relaxation begin in your body. As you relax, you open to all that is. Our imagination is a gateway to the universe which holds all possibility. Each of us has unlimited resources of Source Divine. As we quiet our minds and open our heart, we plug into a current of creation. Breathe in. The unlimited potential of you is simply activated by affirming, I am, and then listening. By claiming our I am, we assert what is wanted and who we are. Then we become the artist of our experience. I invite you to become the artist of your own desires. Breathe and say, I am. Open and listen as the bowls begin to sing.
Let go, let God. Believe in the universe. Let go, let God. When love and hope converge. Let go, let God. Today's a brand new day. Let go, let go, let God. It's a rainy day. You got big bills to pay. You wonder if you'll ever see the light of day. Suddenly you remember that God will see you through. You only have to surrender what's inside of you. Let go, let God. Believe in the universe. Let go, let God. When love and hope converge. Let go, let God. Today's a brand new day. Let go, let go, let God. You've had a tough year now. Your friend is lying ill, and the problems of your mind just won't keep still. But suddenly you remember the hope that God brought you, and all the way to December the sun shines through. Let go, let God. Believe in the universe. Let go, let God. When love and hope converge. Let go, let God. Today's a brand new day. Let go, let go, let God. Let go, let go, let God.
Right? Cheryl Hodge original. Wow. I caught one little piece. I don't know if I can quote it exactly right. We open we move into our sacred power of imagination, and it opens the door to the potentiality of the entire universe. Beautiful meditation, beautiful song. You know, we've been leaning into this month. Actually, the root of what I have been speaking to is the sense of prosperity. And, you know, it's an interesting thing because and the theme for the year that I had suggested was harmony. And we sit in this energy of harmony, and sometimes I think of prosperity, and I hear a sense of prosperity that leans into one side of the nature of prosperity. But what I'm suggesting is, and what I'm suggesting for myself, and I offer to you, is looking at the fullness of things and always saying, where's the harmony? Where's the balance? Where does it feel like sometimes the notion of prosperity almost sometimes feels like an energy of more and more, when I feel like oftentimes the deepest prosperity I have felt is in the energy of less and less and less. And I just want to release. There's a prosperity in letting it go. And there's a prosperity of going, well, there's more. And then there's a prosperity of, this harmony and this balance. This harmony comes with this balance. And today, there's a person I want to speak to. And you know that tomorrow is a big day. What's tomorrow? It's a huge day because it's Martin Luther King Day. That's what I'm leaning into. That's where I'm staying. I'm going to stay there. That's what I'm celebrating. And the reason I'm celebrating King, and not like King, but like so many people like King, is we can ask a question, and this comes deeply from, this old, scholasticism. Thomas Aquinas, we used to study this in school, like, what's the causes of the universe? And there's all this, complex. But one of the things I loved about what is the causes of life, and one of the causes is they call it like the exemplary cause. That there's a cause that changes the universe, and it's all based on the energy of an example of other people. And of course, we talk often about the energy, the example of Jesus of Nazareth. We lean into Jesus all the time. In the West, we do. And there's others. Lai Tzu is someone I lean into all the time as well. The Buddhic energy that comes out of the East, these various energies. People, we talk about what is it about Jesus, and I guess maybe I'm more of a a carrot than a stick guy. There's really not much about the Jesus story about a warning or I'm not. But the draw into this deep energy of love and connection, that energy that pulls me forward, that I connect to. The exemplary energy is like, look at the life of different people and how it pulled me into new levels of in my imagination, all the powers of our life, how it pulls us forward through an open door that allows us to move into the potentiality of the entire universe. And the person I want to talk about today, and King is great, and I'm launching off from Martin Luther King, but there's a thing about Martin Luther King for me as a white, male, educated, cisgender, straight person. This culture that I live in, it's a little bit tweaked for me, to be honest. It's, it kind of lends itself to people like me. And it's sometimes hard for me to look at Martin Luther King and what was it like to be a black man in the South in the 60s with the deep, despairing racism that was alive in the country at the time. I could imagine, I could feel that, but sometimes I ask the question, with people like me or people that are more like me, what is my role? How do I do it? Be supportive of the people who are on the who have a sense of being oppressed, or who live in a country where there's some just subtle, sometimes so subtle we don't even see it, oppression and racism and pieces that really work against other human beings. That someone like me, or someone, I'm going to suggest like us, you can own it for yourself, but someone like me or us that just gets the benefit of a society that works for me and it doesn't always work for other people. Give me an example of somebody who stood up to that. My son Dominic went to college. He went to a college in the East. It was outside of, it was in Pittsburgh, outside of Pennsylvania. It was called Swarthmore, if you've heard of that. And it's a Quaker college, Swarthmore, Haverford, Bryn Mawr, this little triumvirate Quaker colleges. So we used to go out and visit, we'd go visit Dom once a year out at Swarthmore College. And we stayed, it turns out there's a big retreat center. It's called Pendle Hill. Pendle Hill has something to do with Quaker tradition. Something happened in England for the Quakers. But we used to stay at Pendle Hill. And when we were there, every morning they had Quaker meeting. Has anyone been to Quaker meeting before? Oh, wow, lots of us, yeah. Isn't that wonderful? So for those of you who haven't, basically my experience was we went in and there was a square of benches and we would sit down and not much would happen, and the elder, whoever was the person for the day, would walk in and sit down and go, "The meeting has begun," and would sit down and then no one would say anything. And it was silent. And then every now and then somebody would stand up and say, in the silence, I heard this scripture verse, and it's this. And everyone would go, "Oh, okay, you need to sit down in silence." And then an hour later, someone would stand up and go, "Okay, breakfast is served in 10 minutes in the room," and everybody would walk out, and that was the service. Oh, it was good. By the way, a little announcement. There are a number of us, we don't call it a Quaker meeting. Jill, I think Carrie mentioned you might start coming. Big John, there's some people. Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, We come in this room and we light a candle and we sit in silence. You're all welcome. It's not a Quaker meeting per se, because quite frankly, sometimes the first 20 minutes we can be pretty chatty. But anybody who wants to says, we're ready to sit in silence. It's time. And the power of sitting together. There was this man, we went to Pendle Hill, and they go, where are you from? We go, Nevada City, California. And they go, oh, the John Woolman School. And we're like, whoa. It turns out one of the biggest Quaker libraries in the world is Pendle Hill in Pennsylvania. The other one is in the John Woolman Center in Nevada City, California, in my hometown. Who would have known? So we said, there's a Quaker center? It's only 4,000 people. 3 ashrams, the biggest Quaker center in the world? Yeah. So we started going, and I started asking this question. The John Woolman Center, who the heck is John Woolman? Anyone know John Woolman? Ooh. So exemplary cause, people who change our lives. And what I like about this guy is middle class, had it all together, white guy. He wasn't the guy on the side. He was someone who woke up to the issues of the oppression of his time, especially slavery. And he started looking, and it was really funny. He found out that dyes in the clothes were somewhat toxic. And there was all sorts of workers, and especially slave workers, who were making dyes so that people in New England could have these really colorful clothes. So what he did is he went off and he made a whole set of clothes in dye-less fabric. He wouldn't wear dye because he didn't want to support an industry that supported something that was poisoning people. Can you imagine this? I just brought as an example, to walk around looking in this color, in everything, socks, I think maybe people do. Some places of the world, people maybe wear like this. But he refused to wear anything that was dyed, which I thought was kind. And so people talked about him and they go, there's that guy again with no color in his clothes. And people started to know him. They kind of thought he was a little strange until he started speaking. And then he was a mercantile guy. And one of the big things he sold was rum and sugar. Then he started realizing that rum and sugar came from slave labor in the East Indies. So he said, how can I have a store? How can I be making my living by making money on the back of slave labor? And so he started getting rid of everything in his store that was built from injustice, from unjust systems of oppression, from sugar and from rum and from dyed clothes. And pretty soon he realized, I don't think I can make a living as a mercantile guy because I got nothing left in my shop. And so he started, and and in the Quakers, like I said, the meetings, it wasn't like you had ordained people. They don't have ministers per se like we would understand it, like someone like me getting a school and being ordained. Although there was Quakers in my ministry school before Unity. But they were there to study and just be supportive people in the community. So he started, every day he'd get up and he'd go on his horse and he started traveling, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York. John Woolman would get on his horse and he'd ride into town, he'd go to Quaker meeting, and he'd start preaching about how are we supporting this thing of slavery, and how are we supporting with our industry and what we do in our lives to support such an industry. And people would listen to him and go, yeah, you're right. And they would started with, and in his work alone, it was just hundreds and hundreds of African slaves that he encouraged the owners to release by exemplary power. Not by railing or not by threatening, just by speaking from his heart, from a place of love, about love and how we need to work against the injustice and the systemic injustices in our society. Using scripture, using his voice, exemplary power. What was interesting was, it turns out later, and we sort of found this later, on the Underground Railroad where escaped slaves would move north into Maryland, into New Jersey. And when they come, there was sort of this knowledge that if you see somebody with really looking like without clothes, dressed in really simple fabrics like this, talk to them. And it turned out they didn't mean it this way, but an unintended consequence of many of the Quakers doing in John Woolman's mode, wearing undyed stuff, the escaped slaves started saying, oh, there's someone who we can talk to that will help us. It was like told it out. I mean, in very simple acts, the unintended consequence was to shine a light to suffering people, to oppressed people, that here's someone who will have a compassionate ear for what you're doing. Here's someone who will listen. And man, those people were on fire. There's this harmony of prosperity. There's this harmony. It's like, does it mean the abundance of more in the physical plane? Sometimes. And in the John Woolman story, it meant an abundance and a happiness and a joy that came with letting go. We get in these harmonious things of like, there's something about prosperity on the eternal plane, on the potentiality of all things that flows into our life and outpictures in a myriad of ways if we're aligned with it. Another person read for about 10 years ago, and this is someone, where is that here? Jill reminded me of the other day at Unity. And these are my two favorite books on prosperity, all the times when I was in Unity. One was called Spiritual Economics. It's by Eric Butterworth. And the other one, and this was on the Unity Book of the Month for like a year, called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. Lynn Twist. I'm thinking maybe, I haven't picked the Minister's Spring class yet, but this may be it. Going back and looking at this again. The Soul of Money. And she tells a story where she was one of these people who went and raised money for the project she worked for was the Hunger Project. And she went in and she went to, I guess, some big food conglomerate that had gotten in some trouble with the press for some of their practices that were really kind of not very supportive of poor people in the countries they were working in. So she went in and they called her and said, will you make our pitch? And she said, I work for the Hunger Project. And she came in and she gave him the pitch and she's like, oh my God, I'm on the 50th story in a high rise in New York City. And the guy says, okay, I've heard enough. And handed her a $50,000 check, already made out, already had the check. And she took it and she thought, wow, I am such a great friend. But there was something about it that said, you just want to tell your stockholders that you're really a pretty good guy and you gave this check to a nonprofit that's going to help hunger. And she thought to herself, you don't care. This wasn't a check from the heart. This was a check to offset your guilt. So she had a meeting later that afternoon. It was in Harlem. She jumped in a taxi and she went over to Harlem. And she went in this place and she said in the book, she was the only white face in this room. And it was clearly poor people and it was raining and water was dripping all over from the church. We had that here. The water was dripping all over. They had buckets in the hallway. And she gave her talk about the Hunger Project and relieving hunger throughout the third world countries that really needed hunger relief. And one lady stood up. She said, I worked yesterday all morning doing laundry. And I made $50, but I believe in what you're doing. Here's your $50. Here's that $50. And she gave the $50 to Lynn Twist. And later that day, she had her briefcase. She had these ones and these fives and the tens, and I don't know how much it was, some hundreds of dollars. And she went home that night and she said, that money that came from those people had heart, had soul. It said, money's like water. This was pure, clean, beautiful energy, soul energy that came from the heart, that came from caring, that came from transformation. She took that money and she put it in the bank. She took that $50,000 check. She put it in an envelope. She sent it back to that CEO of that company and said, give this to someone that you care about, but it isn't us. Sent the $50,000 back. Because that money did not have the energy behind it that she wanted. Ooh, harmony. It's not all about the more. It's also about the love and the energy. This beautiful balance of this flow of life. And she opened her heart, and all these other people opened their souls. And they said, when we play on the physical plane, we want to open to the divine abundance that's coming through us. And that divine abundance has energy. It has love. It has transformation. It has hope. It has care. It has joy. It has compassion. It has empathy. And whatever is attached with that energy, that money goes forth and does abundant things, wonderful things, beautiful things. But if it's attached to guilt and shame and sorrow, that's not like a money that's going to flow with a lot of energy. Fast forward many years, that CEO retired, wrote her a note in his retirement, and he said, you know, in all my time as a CEO, you sending that $50,000 back to me was the most impactful thing that ever happened to me. How could someone turn back a gift like that? And he said, this is like maybe a decade later, you sent me on a journey to discover my soul by sending that money back to me. I'm retired now, and I have gotten a huge severance package. And she doesn't say how much, but in the book she says, so he sent me a personal check for many times that $50,000 in gratitude for changing his soul. And then she put that money to the Hunger Project. The harmony of it all, right? The balance of it all. The true abundance and prosperity that comes when the money flows from a place of connection and trust and hope and abundance and the joy of life well lived. There's a Haitian proverb that goes, if you have a big old piece of cake and you eat it all yourself, you're going to feel sick and you won't like it very much. But cut that piece of cake in half and invite a friend and share it together. Yum. That was good. You know, this energy, this finding this in between. So, John Woolman, same idea. This huge abundance just from his ongoing, like, I don't need to make a living and I don't need to be bringing in money if it's attached to something that is not the flow of the divine. And Lynn Twist, the same way, I don't need the money that is not attached to the flow of the divine. And surprisingly, John Woolman, throughout his life, always had plenty to meet his needs. It's like, well, what's happening? Well, I'm traveling on my horse and I sold my business. I couldn't be part of it. And so I just didn't want to, be involved with all this thing. And I didn't want to be involved in anything involving goods produced from slave labor or from injustices or from poisons. And then for him, the money started flowing in for his work, for that ministry. And the same way the Hunger Project just grew. It turns out, not surprisingly, we love to share. We love to feel, and no matter how much, it's kind of, it doesn't matter like our, what we think about the total sum of what we have. It's how much in that, whatever it is, can we give from our hearts and give in that soul energy and allow that flow to go forward for things that change the world. To be those John Woolmans and this even that, and it's so funny because one of the heroes of the story is a CEO. When you first read about him, you're going, oh my God, what's your problem, man? But how he was transformed. So it's a question I leave with you and with myself even. I think in terms sometimes that John Woolman and the people of these days, they were called the abolitionists. And not that particular issue, we still have issues with the systemic racism that's in our nation. And maybe it's not so overt as outward slavery and gets to be more subtle, the things that happen. And the subtle way that people of color and women and the LGBTQ community, if you will, that still feel this underlining, disregard sometimes. Systems that are set up to not be as equal. We try different things like DEI, and there's a lot of now things like big movements that lash back at that. And some companies and some groups and some people are still sticking with that and saying, no, we care about diversity. We care about equity. We care about inclusion. We're going to keep working on these issues. We're going to teach, and who are that? And my question to you and my question to me, and by the way, this is a question on second Tuesdays, we have an Earth Care meeting. And part of our Earth Care committee last time we sat, we talked about in what ways does our actions individually or even our actions as a community align? How are we exemplary to the community, to the greater world, to all those we are enacting with, involved with and coordinating with? So, by the way, another message. I already got my plug in for the Wednesday morning meditation. Earth Care, every second Sunday right after, more people are always welcome to talk in our Earth Care group. And for me, in many ways, and there's plenty of issues to pick, but sort of in my mind, in my heart, sort of the energy, much of the energy from my life, and it could be different for each of us, but it has to do with, the abolitionists for freeing the people, the slaves in the 1800s, because we didn't look at certain people with the full amount of respect that they're due. We didn't see them as fully alive, fully human, fully sacred. And I think somehow, in my mind, the current abolitionists are people who care about our Mother Earth, who see that Gaia is not just a thing to be abused and used and used for service without any due regard for the natural beauty and the inherent dignity, the living being that Gaia is. In some ways, I ask, and I was thinking, I was going to wear something like this today. I don't have anything. I guess I still use lots of dyes. And I don't know. I actually don't know. Are dyes still toxic to people who dye cloth? I don't know. I don't think so. You would think EPA and stuff has stopped that. Red is? It's still toxic? Oh, red in food, yeah. Okay. See, I have a few more minutes. Here's the part where I ask you a question. As individuals or as a community, think about that for a second. What is, we don't necessarily have to start wearing undyed clothes, but what little ways can we be exemplary spiritual people and show up in our community in a way that says, I am not going to buy into this or that, because I want to show up as a person who's aligned with this spiritual divine energy that allows the dignity of not only all people, but all living beings. All of it, the whole of it. And I'm asking a question. What are some little things we might do, simple ways, to be aligned with that? Yeah, Howard. Looking at petroleum products. Yeah. Burning petroleum, sure. Anything we do for climate change, sure. Yeah. Do you hear that? Shopping locally, looking how much petroleum things take to get it from where it was to here. Do you have a resource that you like for that, Sonia, to give us? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah, and buy local. Yes, George. Ooh. Ah, nice. I'm going to say that on the microphone so people, it's Whatcom Conservation. Well, I've heard. Didn't even know Whatcom Conservation District? And they're having a native plant sale, and that's when? Okay, good. Okay, well, let me know, and I'll be sure we announce it. And also have, and you have to order ahead? So go online, Whatcom Conservation District, planting green, planting local fruits, berries, yeah. Yeah, I like my organic food, but sometimes when it comes from Argentina, I go, that was a lot of airplane and boat gas to get that organic food here. I know that it's these little things, right? It's these little things. And the power of our shopping, the power of what we do. We don't necessarily have to wear undyed clothes, but it's a metaphor for what else? Give me one more or two more. There's a lot. Yeah.
I was thinking if you have that energy that says that God is good and present in all things,
Yeah.
well, you set a stage for how you feel and think that says the same thing about what this gentleman thought about slavery.
Yeah. God is good and present in all things. In all things. What does all mean? We like to say it's good, God is present in all things. Well, maybe not, the forest. I mean, we gotta no, and there's a harmony there. God is present. It doesn't mean there's a way we're part of the ecosystem that it uses and it is used, that there's this exchange of energies, exchange of life. I mean, it's part of living. But it's the abuse, not the use. It's the overuse, yeah.
But the other thing about the whole concept of God is good takes it out of that idea of duality. It's
Good.
good, it's bad, it's
Yeah.
evil,
Do you hear what he says? God is good in all things, takes it out of the duality of this is good and this is bad. What if we, thank you, yeah. What if we say there's things I like and things I don't like and it's all good? It's all unfolding for the world. There's things that obviously transcend and transform, and there's things that don't. And those things that don't need to be transformed. And here's the play of life. Here's the play of consciousness. Here's the next step. Here's where I'm going to show up and bring this enlightened transformational energy. That's the game. That's what we're doing. That's part of the life. Why? Because we unfold into the good. And it all comes from the infinite source of the abundance. It's just the question is, how do we then take that infinitude and how do we play it in the finite world of all of us? And what's our guide? What's our guide? We have exemplars. I'm going to end on this. Here's our guide. There's people that show up and give us guidance. John Woolman, this is a guy that's inspired me for years. Now he can inspire you too. He inspires me because I like a white middle class cisgender straight guy, with his wife and his family. It's like, oh, someone like me? That's what I need. Martin Luther King did what he did, but he was in his situation that's not exactly the situation I can relate with, but I can relate with John Woolman. And look what he did. Who do you relate to? Who makes it? The Francis of Assisi, the Dorothy Days, the Thomas Merton, you can just kind of go down the list. Who's the exemplar in your life that really encourages this change? The John Muirs, the whoever it is, the Cynthia Bourgeon now for me. The list goes on and on. Jesus is the primary one, yeah, first and foremost. And I love this about Jesus. Oh, okay, I got to stop. Because again, there's a lot of things that people say about Jesus. And I'm like, I don't judge any, but I'll tell you where I'm at. The guy just moves me. The message he just pulls me forward and go, yeah, like that. And all the other things we want to say about, and I'm not knocking, we want to talk about salvation. I don't know much. I don't know. I just know my experience with the person who just says, come this way. And it is good, and it is very good. That's what moves me. That's why I love the guy. So I love Jesus, right? And John Woolman, and Dorothy Day, and Mechthild, and Hildegard, and yes, and Elkhart. A conveyor of positivity. Beautiful. Yep. Yeah. How do we change the world? We show up as a conveyor of positivity. We show up as conveyors of positivity. And where do we get that positive source to help us do it? The infinitude of our connection. Yeah. Last one.
Experience love.
Experiencing love?
Whether you do it from volunteering, giving something to somebody, giving to our church, or giving to our environment.
Yep.
Just experience love.
John says, experience love. Whether you're giving to the environment, to the church, to someone else, to friends. Volunteer at the senior center, volunteer with the Wacom Conservation District. So many ways. Okay, I'm ending on that. Happy Martin Luther King Day. And I love this. And just to say, Martin Luther King, what did he do? Didn't write a law, didn't build anything. He inspired. He had a dream and he shared it. Okay, friends, let's dream and let's share. And not only as individuals, let's also, we're going to have a time, I'm going to do one of my announcements here at the end of my talk. We're going to have a visioning meeting. The board of directors did a visioning the other day. We put up white paper and we did this visioning, like, where are we going? Who are we going to be? How are we going to be conveyors of love and transformation? And it was so good that we said, let's do it with everybody. So end of March, March 24th, it's a Saturday afternoon for 2 hours, we're going to say, and I've been here 3 years now. I'm ready for what's next. With this idea that we can be conveyors of this transformational energy, we're going to have a visioning, March 24th. It's a Saturday afternoon, 22nd, thank you, without my calendar. March 22nd, from 2:30 to 4:30. You're all invited. I can tell you more details later, but we're going to envision who are we and how do we show up to be these beautiful, transformational people. And as a community as a whole, it's going to be exciting. Okay, blessings. Hey, we can do this. We can do this. Okay, amen. A few announcements. Chaplain today is Malin, and if you want to have a moment of private, confidential prayer, Malin will be in the Love Spoken Here room right after service, and feel free to take an opportunity. And it could be an issue. It can be just a prayer of thanksgiving. Whatever you like, give yourself the treat of a moment with one of our chaplains, and it'll be great. Malin will be available. I mentioned, February 15th is our mystery night. And here's, we have our tickets. You have tickets, LM, today, to see you afterwards? Okay, the tickets are there, and be sure to get them. And do we still need any actors? 2 more actors. Oh, that's their names? Moolah and Editor? All right, not even go to the dinner, but you may be the murderer. So see LM after. And then I mentioned our visioning meeting. I'm going to mention again. We'll start talking about 22nd of the Saturday in March. And then 30th of March is our annual meeting. So that's coming up as well. And we'll give you some dates by next week on when new member and Unity Basics class will be coming up, probably end of February and right in the first weeks of March. There'll be 3 classes, and we're still arranging the exact dates, and you'll know that by next week. And our board treasurer wants to give us a quick announcement about the end of the year. Woo!
Said everything I was going to say, but the finance committee met on Monday, and I'm happy to announce that we ended the year in the black. At $1,638.32. So good job, you guys. I have a lot of gratitude to bring that message to you after all our hard work the last couple years with rising costs, all our unexpected repairs, and tithing to our local nonprofits. So great job. We're currently putting together a budget for next year. So Frank talked about the pledge cards, and those will help us determine what we have to work with for the coming year. He'll put out the pledge cards, and they'll be available for after service, but it's kind of like your home budget where you know what your salary is for the year and you determine what you can pay for during the year. So it's kind of like that for us. And as you think about your tithe for the coming year, like Frank said, vision what you want to do with that, and the world's your oyster. It could be anything. So be thinking about that, and we're super excited to find out what ideas people come up with. The board is also thinking about a sign for the front and landscaping, so those are a couple ideas. Let's see. As he said, we'll be presenting the annual budget in March at the meeting. And I really want to thank Janae for her continued work on the finances for the church. And I have gratitude and thanks for all of you for continuing to step up and help our community home and church. So thank you.